What is up, everybody? This is Professor Daylover bringing you a 5-minute ministry on the topic of the garden. We are performing the garden April 19th. It's a Friday. We're experimenting with a weekend show. And on this topic, I wanted to share some reflections I had about the biblical garden story and some other meanings we might not have thought about. Because if you're like me, you have resistance to everything that this story implies, because God sounds like an angry third grade teacher that told her kids to not touch the marshmallows. And what are the kids going to do? Of course, they're going to touch the marshmallows, right? So I've found it to be more helpful and constructive to think of that biblical garden story as a metaphor. And what I mean by that is, in the garden, we had everything that we needed. And that's the mentality that we're seeking to get back to through spirituality and through all these practices, whatever they happen to be. I think many of us seekers, no matter what our orientation, we want to get back to this garden mentality of we have everything that we need and we're not striving, we're not wanting for things. It's this mentality I believe that we're seeking when we do things like meditate or go on vacation or go camping in the wilderness. We want to get back to this place of there's no demands being asked of us. We don't need to do anything. We don't feel overwhelmed with responsibilities. We simply are, and that's enough. I think that's what we're really seeking. The garden mentality, I feel like, can be useful in so many different situations where we have intuitions and we react to those feelings and we follow through on them sometimes. And sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. You might get a calling or an urge to reach out to a friend you haven't seen for a while, or maybe throw a dinner party, put on a show, host something. You put yourself out there, and maybe it doesn't go as you planned. Maybe only a few people RSVP to your party. Maybe they're not getting back to you with whether or not they can actually commit. Maybe the friend you reached out to is kind of dropping the ball on communication and eventually it fades. Whatever the case may be, this thing that you foresaw doesn't pan out the way that you thought. And in that moment, are you able to stay in the garden mentality of you have everything that you need? Or does it become revealed through the circumstance that you actually needed their affirmation or their response or their participation or their collaboration? Something is shown to us that, oh, well, this situation is reflecting back to me that because of the lack of engagement that I got, or because of this response, which I didn't really anticipate and I was hoping for more, revealed that I had an expectation for how it should go. And I believe if we can harness the garden mentality, we can get to that place of, I followed on my intuition on this feeling, this urge that I had, and it didn't pan out the way that I wanted to, but I had fun doing it, and that's enough. It brought me joy, and the fact that I was able to honor and respond to my intuition and put it out there is a great feeling in and of itself. And can we affirm that? Sometimes the calling or the urge is to not do something, and that's also perfectly okay. And can we honor that too? I feel like this garden mentality can be extremely useful when it's revealed to us that we had an expectation for how something could go, and that mentality can shift us back into the truth. But getting back to the truth is, as we know, more complicated than it seems most of the time. But it could be something simple like a sunset or sharing some coffee with a friend. Something will shift you back into that mentality of this is enough. I'm enough. And that's glorious. I think also, if we really want to talk about this, we have to acknowledge that sometimes it's a tragic event that occurs. Sometimes it's some darkness or a valley that we have to walk through in order to get back into that garden mentality too. And that's a space that we need to honor. That sometimes that event is there to show us of how we can get back to the truth. And with that, can we dance between those different variables and options? Can we get back to the truth through this almost symphonic-like resonance between the tragic things and the beautiful things that bring us back to the truth and help us shift more so into the garden mentality? Lastly, can you be in garden mentality when that's actually not what you want to be in? When you're experiencing frustration and everything's wrong, and can you be in that space of that everything's wrong and that's okay too? With all of that said, this has been your 5-minute ministry. I am Professor Daylover. I love you all very much.